Hey there guys, my name's Brendan. Welcome to Raw Motion Fitness. If you've been here before and you've seen my videos, then welcome back. If you haven't been here before, then welcome aboard, grab a pen and paper. I come from a varied background. I've had a lot of history with cricket, with golf, and with weight loss and weight gain over the years. To date, I've lost 10 stone in the last 4 years and transformed my life and helping people now as a personal trainer and an online coach as well. So I've kind of transformed my way of thinking about food and exercise, considering I yo-yoed for a few years of my life and learned quite a few things along the way. Couple that with a lot of the research by a gentleman called Paul Chek, who you may have heard of, and a chap called Dr. Carl Jung. Couple those bits of information together. This is actually Paul Chek's model that I'm working with here. He calls them the last 4 doctors you'll ever need, and I call them the pillars of health, as it were. So the idea about this, guys, is to give you some information to take away today, give you some questions to think about over the next few days, and kind of spark something in you that pushes you away from certain tendencies in the industry, as a fitness industry and a health industry, and also tendencies in the world at the moment, so that you can become the best version of yourself that's possible out there. So bear with me on this one. It's going to be a few points on each topic. The most important thing you can do for yourself if you're answering these questions today is be as honest as possible, so that we can kind of get to the bottom of the situation. I want you to try and think of this as a recipe. So if you think of all of these elements, you may not be able to see this. I will zoom it in for you, don't worry. All of these elements here: Dr. Movement, Dr. Happy, Dr. Quiet, and Dr. Diet, the 4 pillars of health. Think of them as a recipe for your life, and if you've got the right balance of all the ingredients, you're going to have a great tasting bit of food in front of you, as it were. If things are imbalanced or out of balance, things might not be going quite right in terms of the taste benefit at the moment. So we'll crack straight on. Be as honest as possible. Grab a pen and paper if you need it. The first one we'll look at is Dr. Movement. Now, I've written a blog post on this a week ago, and that'll be linked down below somewhere for you, and you can have a read of that, but this video kind of complements that blog post. With that said, Dr. Movement, the biggest question you can ask yourself: am I moving too much or am I moving too little? I've been both. I've moved too much, I've moved too little. I've also fallen victim to the hard-hitting culture that exists in the fitness industry, which is bang, 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 hit yourself as hard as you can. There's a bit of an imbalance there. There can be a bit of an imbalance if we're doing that only and we're not focusing on these other areas, okay? So, with that said, you've got one end of the spectrum, too much; one end of the spectrum, too little. Obesity rates are flaring up all over the world, as they have been for many years, and children are moving less and less and getting hooked on watching more YouTube and playing PlayStation or Xbox or whatever it is. And so it's a case of trying to find the balance for those two, as well as anything else on this board. With that said, you've got Dr. Diet over here, which is another area that you can look at, and another question you can ask yourself: am I eating good food and nourishing my body? There is a rise in the fitness industry. There's a rise in the world at the moment. There's the veganism trend that people have kicked onto, and I know I went down that road for about a year, and I didn't get very good results, actually, if I'm being completely honest with you. Not from a perspective of I never did it from the perspective of animal welfare or animal rights. That was a very separate issue. But what I did do it for was health and vitality, and eating as clean as possible. And what I actually found when I did it, I found there was quite a big push for the advocacy of healthy alternative foods, and then there was a big push for the sort of alternative treats and ice creams and blah blah blah. So just as we are creatures that have created all these wonderful foods and chocolates and cakes and things like that, whatever kind of diet you're in or whatever kind of diet you choose, is always going to be something there that's going to be quite calorie rich, and can throw imbalance into your diet as well. So just bear that in mind if that's a road that you're thinking about going down. Research it, make sure you've got the right information there and the right kind of macronutrient profile for yourself. So with that said, quick result mindsets are another issue that we face in the industry, as trainers, and it's the idea of, well, we just got to do this for, you know, a week of eating cabbage, and then I will be absolutely fine and I'll be where I want to be for my holiday and things like that. And that's not really the point of what we try and do in the industry. Have I done diets that crash diet you? Yes. Have I done fasts? Yes. Why have I done those? I've done them on the basis of clarity of mind, cleaning out my body from caffeine, sugar, things like that. So it's been unrelated to weight loss, although weight loss has been a byproduct of it. The main thing for me was feeling better and feeling like my body was more in tune with itself. And that kind of links quite nicely into Dr. Quiet, which we'll get into in just a second here. So when you're thinking about that, am I eating good food? Am I nourishing my body? You know, when you're nourishing your body and you're eating great food and it's good ingredients, you feel better about yourself because of a positive choice that you've made. But not only that, you have energy, you have vitality in your life, and that promotes a snowball effect in the right direction. So have a think of that one there. That's a really good one to look at. Dr. Quiet, well, this is the one that I fall down at several times. Am I getting enough rest? Okay, I feel like I do get enough rest personally, but there's a lot of go hustle in the world at the moment. There's a lot of, you know, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And then there's a lot of misleading real downtime. You know, are we just lying in bed on our phone for hours on end, or should we just be trying to sleep? Because that's not real downtime. If you're thinking, oh, I'm going to take a 5-minute break from work and go outside and enjoy nature, but then you're stuck like this, that's not really enjoying it. So it's a kind of trying to find that sort of little bit of you time, that little bit of downtime, that little bit of 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, where you can just be with yourself, no distractions, nothing at all. So that's quite an interesting one to get into there. Dr. Happy, the biggest one, I saved it for last because this one is the kicker that most people will, actually, to be fair, most people will answer this question up here, or all these questions up here, with this statement: don't know. I don't know if I'm getting enough movement or if I'm moving too little. I don't really know if I'm eating well, and I don't really know if I'm getting enough quiet time, and I certainly don't know if I'm very happy at the moment. Happiness, am I happy? You know, are you happy doing the things you're doing? Paul Chek refers to this as a labor of love is sustainable. So if you love what you do, that is a sustainable trait to have in your life. If you don't love what you do, you're going to have a little bit of a tough time doing it. Are there people out there doing things that they hate to do just because it gives them the result that they want at the end of the day? Yes, there are, but it's about finding balance in between that. So when we talk about being happy, well, if you're doing something that you don't like very much, but then you've got something that you do like, that you are developing as a hobby or as a second avenue for your life, then fantastic. You've got an outlet, you've got something to channel yourself towards. When this came into my mind about the Dr. Happy part, it sort of sparked the whole interesting avenue of NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder, which has been on the rise over the last few years, or last 10 years, should we say, considering we are in a Instagram and social media age. And this is something that is prevalent in the fitness industry. You know, validation for workouts, validation for what you look like, validation for how you're feeling about yourself are stemming a lot from the sort of industry of, hey, I've got to put this post up, I've got to put this picture up, I've got to let people know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Now, turning to social channels for validation is the point that I've put there. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's terrible. What I am saying is it's easy to get carried away with, and if you are basing your feeling of happiness on the validation from others, well, then you can be tiptoeing down a very tricky path there. And I've often found that the best way to try and find that happiness is by looking within yourself and trying to figure out what it is that you really enjoy doing. So with that said, on all these topics, you've got your 4 layers of consciousness linked in there. You've got sensation, thinking, feeling, and intuition. So if we take myself, for example, when I was heavily overweight and eating lots of pizza and donuts and cheeseburgers and all those sorts of things, the sensation was that I was really kind of uncomfortable in my shell, in my suit, in myself. I didn't reach out to anyone. I didn't really go out very much. I kind of kept myself to myself. I became very introverted, and from a thinking perspective, that led me to be very depressed. It made me feel even worse because I was depressed. It made me think that life wasn't living, and that 20 cigarettes a day would probably get me closer to the end of it than anything else. And those thoughts did pass through my mind. I'm not going to lie to you. There were definitely times where I figured that pushing myself towards death was better than trying to fix my life and fix myself. Moving on from there, intuition is another thing. So the feeling of crap and oh God, I feel awful led to the intuition, well, something's not right here. My stomach tells me, not my big stomach, my stomach inside, my abdominal wall, my second brain, as it were, was saying, hang on, what the hell's going on here, Brendan? You've got something to do. You've got to fix this situation. So within all of these 4 pillars, as they were, of health, you've got the sensation, thinking, feeling, and intuition that underlie that recipe, that help you cook that recipe to be the most perfect recipe in the world. So that's the summation of this board in a very, very short 12-minute video. But the main thing you can take away from this today, guys, is, you know, there are resources out there for you. Paul Chek has got a lot of great information, and he does a video blog every single week on YouTube, which is great to watch. If your answers to those questions are don't know, then you can always reach out to me. I do online coaching, I do video coaching as well on my website, and I do one-to-one coaching if you're in the Solihull area. Video coaching side of things, you know, I've got a layer of 10 episodes in mindfulness, I've got a layer of 10 episodes in nutrition, and then there's ongoing weekly workouts coming out, which kind of push you in the right direction. So with the video coaching elements for personal growth and mindset and mindfulness, you follow the recipe and you start to unravel the thing that is yourself. With your nutrition stuff, you start to understand how to understand your diet, how to know what is a better way of eating, rather than just kind of constantly having to fixate on fad diets and things like that. So hopefully this information has been useful for you. Drop me an email, it'll be up on screen here for you, if you need to have any questions, or if you have any questions to ask me. When it comes to the happiness side, that could be your first port of call, because honestly, that could be the biggest thing and the biggest obstacle for people. I'm not slating the industry for having a tendency to promote body image. I am just trying to say that if body image is your thing, then there might be some underlying questions there, especially if you're looking for validation from others. Look towards yourself, look within yourself for happiness, guys, and look to the world outside of you and find balance within all of these, and you will find happiness within yourself. I can guarantee it, because I've been down this road, and I know that once I've had to align myself with understanding these questions and answering these questions for myself, it led me to understand my life a bit better. So hopefully that's been a good resource for you. Thank you to Paul Chek for his help with this, and thank you to you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions, pop me an email, and stay strong, keep moving.